Everybody, and welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting of April 22nd, 2015. May we have a roll call, please?
Noted for the record that all commissioners are present.
Okay, thank you. Would everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? We'll go right to Section C, which is public comments. Public comments is an opportunity to address the Planning Commission on items of interest to the public that do not appear on the agenda. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. The Commission may not take action on items raised during public comment. Okay, seeing no one, we'll move right over to D. And is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There was no late correspondence. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay, I second that. So there's a motion. Excuse me, I have terrible. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll go right to public hearings at Section G. The first public hearing is George Karavis, setback variance BA 2015-2. It's a consideration of a variance to enlarge and replace an existing pump house 5 feet 6 inches from the front property line, 2309 Grant. Okay, we have a staff report.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Manfredi, members of the Commission. The property is located within the R110 zoning district. It was originally established back in 1997. It's a fairly long property. It's 310 feet deep and approximately 93 feet in width. There is an existing single-family home built on the property, and recently 2 garages were constructed connected by a breezeway. In February of this year, staff was notified that there was some construction going on in the front yard. Upon our investigation, we saw that a shed was being constructed without the proper permits. Upon notification to the property owner, we told them to stop construction and seek the proper authorization. At that time, we also identified to the property owner that the shed was being constructed within the front yard setback. The front yard setback in the R110 zoning district is 20 feet. Because of the rural nature of that street, there isn't clearly defined property lines. There's not a curb, gutter, and sidewalk that helps to delineate that front property line. But as measured from the center line of the road 30 feet back, that is what defines the existing right-of-way line and property line. So from that right-of-way line, property line, that shed is being constructed approximately 5 feet 6 inches. So the property owner is asking for a variance of 14 feet 6 inches within the setback. There are strict findings that have to be made for a variance application. Typically, for a variance application, there has to be a special circumstance that's at play that would allow the encroachment within a setback. Staff's opinion is that although there is an existing pump house at this location, that pump house is 4 feet wide by 6 feet in length by 6 feet in height. There isn't anything that would warrant the expansion of that shed to encroach further within the setbacks. We try to draw structures into conformance. We believe that this shed could easily have been constructed had the property owner sought the proper authorization within required development standards, that 20-foot setback. We don't believe that the fact that they started and commenced construction without authorization is enough of a special circumstance to grant this particular variance. Additionally, we can't be granting a special privilege upon a variance. All of the other properties within the area are subject to the same setback regulations. I believe that this would be a grant of special privilege. Although this would be the minimum necessary to alleviate the hardship, which is another finding, all of the variance findings must be adhered to in granting this variance. As such, staff does not support the variance and is seeking denial from the Planning Commission tonight. If there's any questions, I can answer those now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Welcome.
Do any commissioners have any questions? Staff? Okay, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to address the commission regarding this item, please feel free to the podium and provide your name and address.
George Caravas, 309 Grant Street. Just have a brief statement. I come before the commission with a request for variance of placement of a pump house accessory structure in order to enclose 1,500-gallon storage tank and updated equipment. Current code and safety protocols applied. Proposed 12 by 12 structure serve to include everything under one roof and will provide a safe and spacious maintenance environment as well as be aesthetic. Regarding elements of the hardship request, simply put, existing location of the wellhead prohibits its location. It's already there. Little shack is there. Little shack is too small. Tank and maintaining a second structure would be impractical. All fit under. Take questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, why didn't you relocate the holding tank in a location that's acceptable to our ordinance instead of putting it over the top of the existing wellhead? Wellhead isn't all that big, and the fact that you can put it almost anywhere on your property and still make it function with your well, I don't understand that.
Well, what I'm trying to do is put everything under one roof, wellhead and the tank next to it, and all the updated equipment and the electric.
I understand that, but it's not allowed for to begin with. So I guess this goes back to staff of why you didn't inquire about the structure in the beginning. There's something like that you wouldn't be sitting here tonight. That's all. It's just
I was unaware of setbacks. My understanding has been accessory buildings for this type of use allowed without permit. I was wrong on that, so I've applied for. I've gotten with Eric several times. This is my alternative now.
okay. Well, thank you. I just want to make an understanding. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to just follow up on that line of thinking for a moment. You were unaware that you needed a building permit?
Yes. For an accessory structure. My understanding is
It didn't require a building permit.
correct.
Are you building this yourself?
Yes.
Um,
Because I've pulled permits in all my other work, that I knew required accessory
Well,
structure for the pump house.
For what it's worth, if it's valued over $500 and has a roof, you need a permit. You know that now.
That now.
I think that, you're asking, and your statement is asking for permission for this variance. You're not really asking for permission, you're asking for forgiveness because the structure's already there. And the existing pump house, I think, is long gone unless it's inside the structure.
You are correct, sir. I am asking for forgiveness, and it is inside the structure.
Okay. Well, I think that Paul's point is well taken, is that it's not necessary that the holding tank be in the same location. Your next door neighbors just completed a very large remodel in addition to their home, and they have their holding tank adjacent to the house. There are examples all over town, and I just, it's going to be interesting. I don't know where to take it from there.
My thought on that was to conceal the tank aesthetics. Theoretically, I can rehab the old pump and request setback. Have two buildings.
Correct.
Try to tie them together and make it look halfway decent. At that point, it's aesthetics.
Okay. Yeah, I have no more questions.
Anyone else? No, thank you.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to address the commission regarding this item? Okay, we'll close the public portion and open it up to commission discussion. Anyone have anything to say?
Well, I would just make the point that I think Eric has been very concise, and I would agree with his assessment. The findings that are necessary to grant a variance, as we all know, we didn't make those up. Those are dictated to us by the state of California, and you must make those findings. And in the event that we would grant you that variance without sufficiently having the findings behind us, then what that means is that when the next guy comes along, we have to grant him the same variance because we granted it to you. This is one of those slippery slope things. And so I think that from where I'm coming from, I can't find, under the MAP Act's finding rule, I can't find sufficient reason for the granting of this variance, and the fact that it's already there isn't a hardship. You created the hardship yourself.
And just to add to that a little bit, I understand it's a little awkward to have to relocate the tank to some degree, and aesthetically it may not be pleasing, but again, those two reasons don't trump the code, the requirements for variance. So if it was a huge problem, it was very expensive, maybe perhaps then, but again, awkwardness and aesthetics don't necessarily warrant a variance.
Just a note, expense has nothing.
Right.
Can't really consider. Otherwise, that's not a slippery slope. That's a cross. Very. So I have nothing further to add. No? Okay, so who would like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I would move that the Planning Commission deny a variance to enlarge and replace an existing pump house 5 feet 6 inches from the property line at 2309 Grant Street.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'd like to advise the applicant that you have 10 days to appeal this decision to the City Council.
Thank you, Lynn.
So choose.
Okay, we'll move along to the next item. This is the Rancho de Calistoga setback variance, DA 2015-1 and design review, DR 2015-1. To consideration of a variance to construct a new clubhouse, office, and social hall within the required 30-foot front yard setback at 2412 Foothill Boulevard, and a design review request for the construction of the new structure.
I have to recuse myself because of proximity issues. Thank you.
So with that, may we have a staff report, please?
Certainly. Thank you, Chairman Manfredi, members of the Commission. The project in front of us tonight is a replacement of the existing office and clubhouse at Rancho de Calistoga Mobile Home Park. These facilities were built out originally in the 70s as a result of the approval of the mobile home park. They have been maintained and expanded upon since their creation in the 1970s. We have had no incompatibility or inconsistencies with the use permit since the construction and establishment of the mobile home park. Prior to the mobile home park being established, there was an original house on the property. We call it the Pond House. It's referenced in your staff report. There would be no effect to that historic house as a result of this project. This project proposes an approximately 6,000 square foot structure, including 2 wings. It would be an office wing and a social hall wing that would contain the same amenities and replace those facilities that are currently existing on the property. The site is constrained. The property has an odd configuration. This is somewhat of a panhandle portion to the majority of the mobile home park, which is located beyond just down Cedar Street where all of the mobile homes are located. The particular property is not only constrained by its orientation, but also the historic house, and then there's an additional manager's unit that's located on that same panhandle portion. In addition to those structures, there's also significant mature trees that are protected under the Calistoga Municipal Code. The architect near Pearson has surveyed the property and come up with a location that's placed between all of these structures and mature trees. As a result of also meeting the setback requirements, it places them within the 30-foot property line setback at the front. As a result, they have requested a variance. Because of all of the circumstances that I have just described, we do find that there is a special circumstance for finding that this structure's location meets the variance applications. We also find that there wouldn't be any hardship, or excuse me, there wouldn't be any impact to health, safety, and welfare as a result. This is a somewhat quasi-private street. The Cedar Street is a dead end. It terminates just at would be the eastern edge of the mobile home park. The street is only served by the mobile home park and 3 residences towards that end of the street. As a result, the street has remained rural in nature. There are not continuous curb, gutter, and sidewalk, thus not placing traffic near these structures, creating an impact to the health, safety, and welfare. We feel that this location is appropriate, and the Planning Commission should support that variance to the 30-foot street setback. This proposal also includes a design review request. The design review includes also that certain findings be made. Generally, that the property is consistent with the general plan, the zoning ordinance, and is harmonious with the rural small town character. Staff has assessed the structure. We find that it's suitable in its architectural elements to meet those findings. We would suggest, though, that the Planning Commission deliberate upon the colors and materials and decide and give direction to staff whether those are consistent with the rural small town character as well as consistent internally within the project site. Though in general we do support the project and the design that's been submitted by the project proponents, and we would recommend approval of the design review application. If there's any questions of the Planning Commission, I can answer those now. Thank you.
Anyone?
Yeah, Eric, could you take a minute and discuss with us the open field, triangular open field between this and Foothill?
Simply, it's another parcel. It is owned by the Rancho de Calistoga, who's managed by ACA Management, but it is not part of this project. It is a separately owned piece of land.
But what would be the potential?
It's currently zoned R2, so there's the potential, if it was to remain as a single parcel, to be a single-family dwelling, a duplex, or two separate single-family dwellings, or a single-family dwelling with a granny unit. They could apply, because of its size, for parcelization of that lot. We have not received any formal applications to date.
Okay.
Anybody else have any? Okay, this is a public hearing, and I would invite anyone in the audience who would like to address the commission to feel free.
Good evening. I've been in these chambers.
Just need to give your name.
My name, I'm sorry, Dean Moser. I'm the general manager of HCA Management Company, the company that manages the Rancho de Calistoga Mobile Home Park. I've been in these chambers several times before, but not before the Planning Commission. So seen Eric several times in the other meetings, but I just wanted to not get technical with regard to the project itself, except to the extent you have questions. We have our architect, Neil Pearlson, here to talk about that. But our reasoning for redoing the clubhouse and the office is because, as Eric pointed out earlier, the others were built in the 70s, and we like to upgrade our mobile home parks to something that's current. In the clubhouses, you folks know people who live over there, and you've been over to the clubhouse probably before for events and whatever, but they were designed almost like this building here, where they didn't have good sound. Now you put in sound all around so people can hear. We plan to do that as well. We do, put in the old days, we used to have the residents pay for half of a TV. Well, we'll have a big screen TV in the main section of the hall and in the library areas. In the old days, we didn't have exercise rooms. We'll have an exercise room in here. I think that it's just something that makes that whole community really vibrant. It's going to do a lot of good for the people. I think they'll enjoy it, and they're all your citizens. But our upgrading, I think, instead of being a Motel 6 kind of a thing, will be, more on the Ramada type of scale. So people will enjoy that, and we're happy about having our residents pleased with where they live. So that's kind of our motivation, to upgrade it to today and make it very enjoyable and a pleasant place for our people to reside. So we'll talk. I'll let Nir talk about the technicalities of it. Do you have any
Anyone
questions?
have any questions?
I have one question. Will this new facility be for the exclusive use of the residents, or will you be using it for other events also?
Exclusively for the residents.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nir Perlson. I'm the architect working on the project. I have to say, it's not only one architect, it's an architect team. There's more people with me, and they're just not here today, but there's a team of us and consultants, the owners' representatives, and people in any jurisdiction where you work, and so as a team. And I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the project team. And I want to start by saying that working in Calistoga has been so far a very enjoyable, productive, and team-oriented process. We've found staff to be very engaged and responsive. Always any questions we send, we always get answers right away. People are very accessible. Fire planning, public works, just it's a joy. I just want to mention that because I've worked in other jurisdictions. It's great to work here. I just want to start by saying just a few comments that I actually pulled off of the Calistoga website on the mission statement, and because I believe that there's a real compatibility between the mission statement and our work. So just a couple of things from the website. Calistoga is dedicated, the city of Calistoga is dedicated to serving the needs and desires of the citizens, establishing, improving, and maintaining city infrastructure, creating an environmentally sustainable community, maintaining the small town rural character of Calistoga, expanding and improving recreational services and facilities, and there's a discussion about just maintaining the charm of a small town, the sophistication of a European spa. That's from the homepage of Calistoga, which I thought was a great little statement. From the mission of the city to the project goals, we really see this goal as an asset to the residents and to the city. So it's not while it is an internally engaging and active project, it's also looking outward. It's a project that we designed intentionally where there's no turning the back to the street. It's actually opening a face, kind of a greeting gestures to the community. Our goals were to improve, as Dean was saying, the common areas, including the site and the buildings, to maximize utility, comfort, and safety for the residents. Protect existing mature oak trees on the site, which is, of course, a big deal. These are very beautiful specimen and old and important. Reduce the impact on neighboring residences by moving our building a little bit away from the residential neighbors. Minimize impact on existing resources by using, actually trying to reclaim or maintain elements that are already in place that do not need to be replaced, such as the pool, paving areas, and utility lines that are in place. So we're trying to be pretty careful with how we work in there. We're not necessarily just scraping the whole thing and starting from scratch. We're really trying to integrate our work into what's there. Improve public amenities, including expansion of the public walkway and providing some protection and comfort for people walking along Cedar Street. They can actually walk off the street. And then design the building and site so that they not only serve the community but also look outwards, as I mentioned before. In order to do that, we chose appropriate and what we believe are familiar vernacular forms and scale. So the gabled forms, covered verandas, columns, beams, materials such as stone, wood. So in other words, we're not trying to introduce a modern sort of artifact and kind of land it in the place, but we're trying to actually really grow something out of what we see all around the environment. And all the way to the colors, color palette that we felt it's a little hard to see in the saturated pages. I circulated a sheet there. It's a little bit muted. So we picked colors that are not flashy. We didn't go for the wasabi and the orange. These would be effective on other projects, but we kind of scaled even the color appropriately with blue gray and blue green, kind of sand color and kind of more natural staining on wood. And then another couple of things that we felt are actually very helpful within the project and really kind of emerge as we developed it is creating buffers between the street and the buildings by positioning the building, as you see, diagonally to the street. We're able to create a couple of kind of triangular areas that not only protected available or existing trees, but also created areas that would be used as kind of a transitional spaces from the street, sort of an entry court. And then screening the pool and the spa. Right now, if you drive there, you'll see that there's a big fence because there's no other way to screen areas that should really be private. So by positioning the buildings the way we did, we feel like it's going to help in terms of screening the private areas from public areas. And then the location of the office, which is right kind of on the corner of the building, we actually believe is a good what we call eyes on the street. So Kim and Tony in the office can actually be aware of what's going on the street at any given moment, which is kind of the way they're set up now, and we kind of kept that so that they have the connection. They can see who's coming, who's going, who's scoping maybe, so forth. So that's just another aspect that we thought was a good idea. Sorry for taking so long. Let me know if there's any questions.
Does anyone have any comment? Thank you.
Well, he can come back, or well, I can ask a couple questions. Yeah, let's. First of all, I'd like to compliment you on the composition of the way you've done this. The pond house, which has always been a standalone house and sort of off by itself. The fact that you have stayed with that grid pattern orientation, I think, works really well, and is and it complements the whole group and makes it more of a compound. And to that end, I, for one, will not have any issue with the variance because there clearly is a hardship. This is most of the properties in town are rectangular, and this one is not. And I think that if you took your average setback, you're well in excess of the required setback, and keeping in mind what you have been able to save in the trees. As it creates a compound, it really knits together with the pond house, and this is where I'm having some heartburn. The pond house is a very warm-colored building, and the manager's residence is a warm gray-green. The green that's in the manager's residence is actually the exact same green that is in the area above the existing pond house. So they've got some cooperative things there. I would ask you if you would be amenable to working with staff to revise your color palette so that these are warm colors, blue is a cool color. I'm wondering whether that's going to work and whether you would be amenable to doing something that would bring it more in compatibility with the pond house. Would that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's colors. Color is tough, actually.
Okay.
I painted my own house a couple of times because of my wife and I couldn't make decisions. So you all know colors.
Okay.
So I think it needs to be a team effort, and I think as long as people the community is happy,
all right,
and the owners are happy, we're going to be.
Well, and again, I can't speak for anyone else, but I would probably propose an amendment to an approval that would ask you to then make those changes prior to actually being given a building permit. The other issue is you've noted that there will be stone on the pediment of what I'll call the pediment of the building, and that it'll be manufactured stone. What I call euphemistically post-it stone. It shows in your picture that you're looking at ledge stone. Is that what you're proposing?
I think it was kind of a sand.
Well, it says a sand color, but all you show is a picture, and what's in the picture is ledge stone.
Oh, you know what? That would not. I wouldn't necessarily. The picture. We just kind of picked.
Okay.
Some precedents to kind of use as samples. So
okay.
I wouldn't really. I don't think we have it's not set in stone yet.
Okay. Well, we're blessed in this valley with an abundance of both stone buildings and stone walls. The vast majority of them are rubble stone. There is some river stone and there's some ashlar stone, but most of it is rubble stone. I can't, except where Eric pointed out, I can't think of any real places where there is ledge stone used in this area. And so what I would ask is whether we could also make that something where there is agreement with staff on the specific style, since it's a manufactured stone, I'll say a style of stone.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
That you use.
Yeah, Dean, I mean, I would. Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah. No, I would definitely. I think between all of us, we'll come up with something great.
Well, beyond that, from speaking for myself, I think that you've created a good solution here. I think that it's going to be a home run for the residents, and I love the fact that it begins to knit together with the pond house, which again has always sort of been this thing sitting off by itself. And I wouldn't have expected you to make it a half-timbered.
We actually thought about that. And then we actually did entertain, the early design process. We had to kind of back out of it. But
this is a great building if you're in Denmark.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all my question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very much.
Well, nothing. I agree with Commissioner Wilkes. I think those are very good points. And I think we should not let go unnoticed that the property owners are putting something back in that's very beneficial to the community and the people that are there.
Right.
You don't see that anymore. Everybody seems to let it get run down, take as much as they can, and sell it off to somebody else. And this is not happening. You are doing what I believe the right thing, and it's certainly, I know many people who live there probably appreciate it as well. So I just want you to know that I should not go unnoticed.
I too appreciate just the spirit of teamwork that you've brought to the community and the staff, and as a planning commissioner, I look forward to contributing as well to move forward. It just seems like everybody's willing again to come together and explore all these ideas that Tim brought forth, so thank you again for that.
The only comment I would like to make is I like, as Tim mentioned, you turned it into a nice comment. Colors and stuff, I don't ever comment. But I like that look. Quite nice. Street. Good job. Okay, is no one else wish to make comments? We'll close the public portion and open it up to commission discussion.
The only thing I would say is that I would ask for that condition or amendment to a motion, and that we make sure that we have the exact colors and samples of the stone prior to issuing the building permit.
Commissioner Wilkes,
that, Eric?
is that going to be reviewed by staff and forwarded just as a comment for comments after? Is that what you would do, Eric? You've done that in the past.
Yes.
And if
I
anybody
look
had
forward to
objections, then you could bring it back if necessary. Is that-
Absolutely.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Thank you.
Okay, well, I will make a motion. I move that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving a variance to construct a new clubhouse, office, social hall within the required 30-foot front yard setback at 2412 Foothill Boulevard, and a design review request as amended for the construction of the new structure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, good luck. Okay, do any commissioners have anything they'd like to put on the table this evening?
That is fantastic design, by the way. That's a beautiful structure. I haven't walked it, but just really, yeah.
Yeah, it's
that is
spectacular.
Really,
Talk
is
about
very
stonework.
impressive. Yeah.
Man. Anyway, do any commissioners have anything they would like to put on the table?
No.
Okay, do we have a director's report?
Yes. First, I just wanted to allow Mr. Lundquist the opportunity to respond to the concerns that were expressed by Commissioner Cooper at the previous meeting about the condition of the property near the intersection of Wapo and Grant.
I've been tracking down Phil Flickinger, which is his name, and he's part owner with Bill Squire. So we're in the process of contacting them and getting that property reorganized and cleaned up.
Okay. Also, Kevin Eisenberg and his wife stopped on the street and just asked me specifically about that, what was going on with that property. So it's not just me; other people are sort of seeing this through the same lens.
Great, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Encourages us.
We just wanted to let you know we are following up on it. I haven't forgotten. Wasn't as fast as the street light I think you asked about a couple years ago.
Those take a little time.
They do.
I would like to request that the Commission cancel its May 13th meeting due to a lack of items that are ready for your consideration.
Okay.
Concurred?
And We'll adjourn tonight to our next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting,
Well,
May
the one after that. To
28th,
13 plus 27th.
27th.
Great. Thank you very much.